Praise the Lord. Welcome to the Front Runner Podcast. My name is Isaiah Marshall, and we have a very, very special guest today, my brother, Bryan DeCuir, and I've been knowing him for years, but I know him, and I want you all to get to know him, and I know that you all will be blessed by this discussion. Bryan, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Isaiah. How are you?
I'm doing good. Man, you have a powerful story. Just the way you persevered, the way you were resilient and just never gave up, that don't quit attitude, because as you mentioned, man, it's easy for us to kind of, we experience a challenge and then we just automatically, we just want to give up.
Yeah.
We just want to go in a different direction because maybe that was hard. But what your story is showing us, like, man, just persevere, just stay in there. Don't quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the thing that I don't want to say I've learned this, but like one of the things that over the years I think I've built up is going back to that failure attitude is, I'd rather regret doing something and failing at it than regret giving up. Yeah. Like later regret that I didn't do it because I gave up about it.
Yes,
and so I think that's the sort of the trade-off there is, okay, you can give up, but you might have some feelings about that later. You might, you might not be able to let that go. Yeah. And so like I said, I'd rather, I don't want to say look like a fool for continuing to fail at something, but really, if you look at athletics, I mean, it's just consistent failure over and over and over and over again. I mean, look at baseball players. They hit the ball a third of the time.
Yeah.
They're getting paid millions of dollars and they hit the ball a third of it. If you're hitting the ball a third of the time, you're actually really good batter.
Good, right?
Yeah, you're great. And so 2/3. So what that means is 2/3 of the time they're not hitting the ball.
Man.
So
that's a good analogy.
It's crazy. I mean, it's when you start thinking about it that way, because it really does apply to our lives.
Right. Yeah, but it's not like this, when you say this failure mentality or this mindset, it's not like you go in expecting to fail.
Right.
But like you mentioned earlier, it's like with anything, you're taking risks, knowing with that risk, there is that potential to fail.
Right.
You know what I mean? But it's like, but learning from those setbacks, but just continuing. And just like that baseball analogy, if you hit the ball a third of the time,
yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, but you got to keep swinging though.
Right. Yep. Exactly.
You got to keep swinging, man. That's good. So, but you mentioned throughout your process and your journey in taking the test and, not passing it and watching other people pass and, do their thing. And so it's easy for us, we strive and we desire, we have dreams and we pursue things. But when we look out and we see other people doing some big things, you know what I mean? Like, you're a podcaster, you see, this podcaster having all these followers and having this success. And it's like, but then we start, we find ourselves in those positions, just like you could have found yourself in that position and seeing other people passing and being successful in that. And it's like, but then we start minimizing ourselves. It's like,
that's right.
I'm not doing something right, or what I'm doing it doesn't matter. And we kind of devalue ourselves.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you, or did you, and do you now just keep yourself from falling into this comparison trap? In other words, how do you stay focused on running your race?
Yeah, that's really hard sometimes. And I will say that one of my favorite quotes is comparison is the thief of joy. I think Roosevelt said that. And, ultimately, you do really have to realize that there's always going to be someone better, faster, stronger. There's just always going to be that. Even if you become the champion of the world, somebody's going to be, at some point, is going to be faster than you, is going to break your record, is going to do all the things that you want to, they're going to make more money than you, they're going to pass the exam quicker, or better yet, there's always going to be somebody who you perceive that it comes easier to them, that maybe they didn't have to take the risks that you had to take, or that they didn't have to work as hard as you had to work. And I think the only way you come to that conclusion is by comparing yourself to them. Now, obviously there's some times when we can't avoid a comparison. Obviously athletics, that's what competition is about.
For sure.
Is
for sure.
Competing with somebody else. But really, do you look at, I mean, I don't say this. Does anybody look at the people who lost in the Super Bowl and say, man, those are losers. Those guys are all losers.
Right.
Like, well, no, they were playing at their highest level and the highest game in that sport.
Sure. Yes,
so
sir.
Did they win? No. But, you know, the fact is that the only way that you come up with the fact that they're losers is by comparing them to the other team and
the
saying
team that won. Right.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And if they compare themselves now, does the emotional aspect of that, is that hard to accept? Yeah. But
yes,
any athlete will tell you, you know, the sooner you can get over that, the better.
They say you got to have a short-term memory.
Yeah.
You know
yeah.
I mean? You got to.
Well, and that's a golf's a good example because, you know, they like Tiger Woods has talked about, you hit a bad shot, it's gone. That's it. You're done with it. That's in the past.
Yes, sir.
And nothing in the past is going to be good for you if you dwell on it. And you don't want the past to affect that future shot. So the next shot, okay, now what do I have to do to make that shot better? So in a way, golf is an interesting sport in that it's almost like a repeating of short-term memory. It's like, you know, even if the shot was great, you don't want to come up to the ball and say, oh, well, yeah, I've got this. I don't even have to try.
Yeah.
You're going to, no, this is a different shot. This is a different shot. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
And you could really look at that in terms of, you know, on a daily basis. It's like, hey, this is a different day. Like yesterday, I felt like I did great. So, but you still got to bring it the next day.
Yes, sir. Man, you know, and for me, in being a track and field athlete, one of the game changers for me was just shifting my mindset from like not striving to be the best, but trying to strive to be my best.
Yes.
I mean, I think that's a difference. Not saying that I will go in expecting to lose.
Yes.
But for me, I just want to run my best.
Yes.
Anytime I stepped on the track, if I could get a personal record, you know, for me, that's a win.
Yeah.
And it's like just running and doing my best and leaving it all on the track. And, you know, we just have to have that mindset to just keep pressing forward.
Yeah. The other thing I will say is you have to shut out, you have to shut out the haters. And I'll say this, when I was playing football, I didn't play football for very long, but I played football all the way through middle school and high school. And I was never very good at it, but I played and I put a helmet on and I hit people. But but one of my coaches told me one time in practice, he said, hey, DeCuir, you know, I just want to let you know, you're not very big, but you're slow.
Wow.
And I said,
have mercy.
Thanks, coach. You know, so I guess my point with that story is part of this whole process is again, there's going to be people, again, going back to that, is everyone going to like Isaiah Marshall? Is everyone going to like Bryan DeCuir? No, you know, and that's okay. You know, but everybody in the world doesn't have to like me.
Yeah.
They don't have to listen to what I have to say. They don't have to, you know, they can just say, I don't like the way you part your hair, Bryan, you know? And that's okay. That's their right. But what I need to do in order to move forward and what I need to do in order to be my best is to forget about that, is to put that off to the side. And so that coach, you know, that was discouraging for a high school student, but at the same time, but at the same time, it's one of those things where you have to learn to shut that out and say, okay, well, I'll show you, you know,
and use that as a, you know, to kind of fuel the fire inside of you. Was like,
and maybe that was his attempt. I mean, maybe that was his intent, you know, maybe he was like, I'm going to do this, see if I can get a rise out of him and get him moving on the field here. But, I don't know, that's the greatest approach, but at the same time, you do have to learn how to deal with those things, deal with the criticism and other things. So
shutting out the haters.
Yeah.
That's a good word, man.
I'm out front running all day.